Is it fluorine?
Yes, it is.
I tried to write it down exactly as you said it, but you said you thought this was a solution looking for a problem.
Yes.
As a quote. So allow me to describe to you the problem that I see and why I think this is a solution, because I actually take great offense to that statement, the way you put it. One, I live in a city where we're going through the highest level of foreclosures in most people's mindsets, memories, since we've been keeping data on the subject. As I have visited various small business districts, frankly, every small district that currently has a Main Streets program, and then 3 more on top of that. I went to 22 different small business districts in the city of Boston, and depending on who you talk to, we have somewhere between 24 and 26 neighborhoods in the city of Boston. It does depend on who you talk to, because sometimes Mission Hills is Roxbury, sometimes Mission Hills, sometimes you have 4 Dorchester neighborhoods or just one, you know. And I've spoken to a number of small business owners, where I have not yet heard one small business owner actually tell me that they've had what they felt to be an easy experience trying to access credit from our banking institutions at the moment. You know, I'm dealing with the realities that we are placed before and right now.
Mm-hmm.
You allow me to finish.
Sure.
I'm dealing with the realities that we place before us right now, and what I am simply looking for is to make sure that the $1.1 billion that does not belong to anyone in this room, but belongs to the taxpayers of the city of Boston, make sure that it goes to banks that are investing in our city. Even in the system here that we have, there isn't even a false number up there that they have to meet. It's just to see which one's doing the most. It's simply looking at which banks are doing the most. The link deposits that we went through, I mean, I had the conversation with Mr. Pittman. He made it very clear to me that there is reporting here, and there's also a number of things that I'm looking for that is not here. And also, even as he speaks to, the only thing I could get my hands on in this link deposit report that you stated was magnificent at some level, is at the level of Boston, is to go through the census tract and find out what mortgage loans are in each census tract in our neighborhood. Otherwise, I got to look at Boston and Quincy information, or statewide information, or a mix of the CRA plus all this other information together. I also have seen in this that most every bank that's in there has been ranked satisfactory, which means it would create zero change in the way we deposit our monies in the city of Boston, and it hasn't for a while. You also stated one of the biggest issues that you had specific to the ordinance was the creation of the commission. I heard that loud and clear. Except we've had a municipal banking commission in the city of Boston, I think, since the 80s. It actually exists. So to state to me that one of the biggest points of opposition to the ordinance is something that actually currently exists, I mean, then maybe you're asking us to revisit what exists, but I don't know how what we did is much different than what's there. And I looked at what exists today, and it's a 7-person commission with 1 member of the business community. That's what exists since the 80s. You know, and it's now troubling to me is that the last time we held a hearing on the subject, I was told it's a commission that doesn't meet anymore and hasn't met in a while, even though by city ordinance it is supposed to be meeting. And that's troubling to me as a member of the council. And so as I sit here, I just want to say that I heard you loud and clear. I understand what seems to be your points of opposition. Some of your points of opposition, I actually want to work with you to figure this thing out. I really do. I certainly don't want to create an ordinance that would make it so that banks can't apply for our money. That is not my intention, because we actually need these banks to apply. And so I want to work with whomever can sit with us and figure out what are the ways to make sure that they can still apply. But, you know, I did take offense to saying that I'm trying to, it's a solution looking for a problem. I did take offense to that. And I think that it doesn't take a banking expert or an expert in economic development, of which I don't consider myself an expert, but economic development is actually my master's degree, to walk around in our city and see what's happening right now. You know, we're at difficult times. You opened your statement saying that. We're in difficult times. I'm not trying to make it so that these banks are hurt. I don't want these banks to lose money. I don't want these banks to go out of business. I don't want these banks to not be able to do business with our city. But what I do want is to construct a way in which we as the elected officials and those appointed by elected officials to oversee the money of our taxpayers are going to banks that are investing in our city. And that's it, banks. You know, many of which you said you had a list of 28, there are 28 members of yours that do business in Boston. It would still be one of those 28 getting the services from the city. You know, I'm not looking to create a new institution out there that doesn't exist today to get these services. That's not my intent here. And so as I go there, I just want to state that, just so that we have it on the record for those watching and those here in the crowd, that since I believe the 80s, but I could be corrected on the exact year, we have had a municipal banking commission in the books in the city of Boston by way of ordinance since the 80s. And as I look at what defines who can be appointed, it is almost verbatim as to what we've written. Almost verbatim. And so if there's questions about going back to that commission and looking at its effectiveness or not, that's a different conversation. But I actually took that commission as we wrote this and essentially incorporated what was already on the books, what already exists. And so that's where that came from. That's where the idea of it comes from. And so and it does not, and I actually don't believe that in any, you know, we're going to look at the city of Boston as a corporation. The executive should hold the authority as to its decisions like these. I believe that. I absolutely do. It could be Mayor Menino or Mayor fill in the blank. I believe that the executive was elected and that's under the authority of the executive and of the collector treasurer appointed by the executive. The ordinance doesn't take that away. And of the 7 voting members on this commission, 6 of them are appointed by the executive. 6 of them are appointed by whomever holds the office of mayor. You know, and I feel very grateful to have the mayor that we have, considering what many cities are going through financially as a government across the country, and that we are not in that moment going through that. You know, our bond rating is what it is. I understand that this administration and that the Treasury Department and the people that he's appointed are very good at what they do. I want to state that. I believe that. They're very good at what they do. All this ordinance is looking for is that we are certain that part of the aspects of getting the $1.1 billion that the city invests that belongs to its taxpayers are going to banks that have shown that they're investing in our city. It could be large or small banks.
And I would ask you.
I understand that, but...
And as long as we are speaking about this, if I may, I would like to, we share also, which is